Is this the
There's
part?
a PubMed.
Oh, is that the featured video? Oh, okay. I didn't even know that they had a part 2.
Here's a pub.
I didn't see it. I think I'm just blind. I'm down for watching this. Crowder confronted. Rolling Stone journalist takes a seat. Changed my mind. Okay. Rolling Stone journalist. Incredible. Let's see what we got here. This is all within like the trans women sports thing. Like, should trans women play sports? Let me tell you right now, man. It's like it's so frustrating because like when it comes to trans women, trans people in general, you know, I know we tend to exclude men, trans men. Steven Crowder's is always wrong. Except for this time. He's right. You know? And it's crazy how like we're giving people who are transphobic the satisfaction of like being right over the progressive narrative. If that makes sense. Like if we could all sit down and acknowledge that like, hey, trans people are like trans women are women, trans men are men, and like they're valid. But there are times where we have to acknowledge that there is like a difference. There's a difference between trans like women and cis women or trans men and cis men. And that comes to when it's like dating. And like when it comes to like going to the doctor, which is none of our business. So like dating and sports, you know, we can acknowledge that these are the 2 times where like we need to acknowledge that there's a difference. We could really make a lot of progress. And unfortunately, a lot of lefties, a lot of progressives are pushing this narrative like that. It's, you know, we have to affirm everything about trans. We'll soon speak to, you know, keep it to trans women in this case because trans men really don't pose like a threat to. But we have to like stick. We have to stick here, and we got to be like, okay, trans women have to be able to compete in sports because they're women. It's like, okay, but we can have some nuance. There's biological advantages, and there's so many of them. You know, there's muscle mass, bone density, going through a male puberty, mega steroids, basically. There's the average height, hand size, not having a period because that can like contribute to like anemia. It takes like I don't even know if there is ever a time like based on the preliminary studies we've seen like it. If we look at people who come off of steroids, not trans people, it like they don't. It takes years for them to potentially lose like that advantage. They get so much of an advantage going through their developmental years. You know, going through male puberty and whatnot. It's just crazy. And so we should just be like, okay, listen, trans women are women, but maybe sports isn't it. And it's crazy because I feel like it's just pushing people to a more conservative stance. If you're going to call somebody transphobic for being like, hey, I think trans women are women, but I don't think they should compete in sports because they're going to displace cis women, right? Because like what's going to happen? Trans women, they're going to rise to the top. Probably going to be more like a disproportionately higher representation, and they're going to be the best in the sport. They're going to like pretty much kill scholarships for women or cis women. Would I do something with Crowder if I could talk to him? Of course. I mean, yeah. But I mean that wouldn't be bad for me. But yeah, so the point I'm making, man, is that like this defense at all costs is crazy. Because it's really weird. Because the going social narrative online is trans women are women, they should be able to compete. I agree that they're women, but the problem is like most people don't feel that way in the sense that they don't think they should be able to compete. It's just that people aren't really super vocal online, and people feel like they're going to get canceled if they say something. But we're seeing like this rubber band effect. People are starting to be like, oh my God, this is too much. Like, chill the fuck out. And like, here we are now, man. That's where we are now. And at the end of the day, trans people don't even give a shit. To be honest with you, you know what trans people need? They need like gender affirming care covered by like healthcare. That's what they need right now, so they can feel or be more passable. I had somebody in my comments go like, yeah, but you know, because this is what I made this point. Somebody in my comments, and I'm gonna respond to her. She's like, yeah, I said that trans people need gender affirming care to be covered by healthcare because that's what they need to feel, you know, whole, for lack of a better term. And this person said, well, yeah, but that's not true because the studies say that like the suicide attempt rates stay the same. So that means that gender affirming care doesn't work. There are so many different reasons why, and I'm going to go through all of them right now. Obviously, the first one is like society still doesn't like accept trans people, and so that's going to contribute to mental health issues. Another one is probably, how do I say this? Like words are escaping me. Expectations of like passability. They expect to like look exactly what they feel they would like to look like, and a lot of times it just doesn't pan out. Like the passability, for lack of a better term, of a lot of trans people doesn't really come to fruition. It's very difficult to be able to like go through like, you know, and a lot of that is due to like lack of resources too. Expectations. There's another aspect of like I forget what the phenomenon's called, but when people there's an association with being like trans and other mental health issues, And one of those is like anxiety and like depression. And one of the things is as you transition and you start to feel less distraught, you become less depressed. You become more. You feel better about yourself. But there's like it's not like a light switch. It's a dial. You know, it's like one of those like dimmer switches that goes like up and down. And as you push the dimmer switch up, you feel better. But a lot of times it's like, okay, so let's say this is like horribly depressed, and this is like happy. So like it might bring them from here to here, right? Still pretty depressed, but better. The thing is though, is that like this is a real thing. The reason why some people don't kill themselves is because they don't have the energy to do it, like when they're depressed. And so when you make people less depressed, but they still have like suicidal tendencies, and you move up the curve, they have more energy to do it. And it's a horrible, unfortunate like aspect here because you can't just boom happy. So this is obviously another factor as well. I think like expectations, and I think that lack of resources that don't allow people to fully transition to the like to a more to a point where they're happier is another reason too. When we talk about gender affirming care, like the statistics, they don't look at somebody. I don't know exactly what they look out, but I guarantee you they don't look through the entire process. You have to go through a significant amount of different treatments. Like there's hormone treatments and like suppressants. Then there's like physical surgeries, this, that, and the other thing. It's just there's a lot there, and I think that there are some people that get gender dysphoria that may not need that maybe transitioning isn't best for them. I've heard like a therapist that specializes in like trans care talk about that. But for the most part, this is the treatment method. It's just not everything's not perfect. So anyway, let's watch this video. There's a lot of pretext.
Here's a PubMed, NCBI, and like this is a medical journal. So I mean, like,
hold on a second. Let me ask you. You know what? Okay, you know what? Just hold it up for me. Hold it up for me. 0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they are.
Like, can you hold that up to the camera? Welcome back to part 2 of our Change My Mind installment. Specifically,
welcome back to part 2. Welcome back. This is part 2. Come on, Crowder.
On the
smarten up
topic that biological males should not compete in women's sports. Well, at least
it's so interesting because, like, for the context of this conversation, like, yeah, trans women are biological males, right? We understand that, but like, Crowder always uses that term, even like regardless of what the scenario is, which is why like that's the shitty part of this thing.
That's what it was supposed to be. See, yesterday I sat down and spoke with Isaac, and although we disagreed, we had a productive, almost hour-long discussion. But in case you've forgotten, civility wasn't exactly on everybody's mind that day. And these are
that guy was whole ass naked.
Adults acting this way in college. At UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, no less. And I had to wonder, why would college students ever think it's acceptable to behave this way?
Maybe it's Will Smith's fault. See, black people are ruining society. I'm just kidding. That was my conservative take, guys. That's the mug-blooded American racist trucker in me talking.
Enter one of their self-described mentors.
Whoa, that guy looks like Inspector Gadget on estrogen.
Even Monticelli. All right, so that's okay. We're comfortable with our map.
That's an interesting outfit he's got.
Okay. The more you can move in, the better.
All right, so we can actually. Oh, you got the mic on the desk.
Oh, there you go. Here, I'll have it on you. Your name is.
I wouldn't get that close, man. It's COVID season, brother. Well, it's not as bad now, but I would sit back and I would just be like, all right, I'm gonna sit from here, brother. Give me another microphone. Can you get 2 microphones, Steven? You know you have the money for it.
Steven?
That's right, Steven.
Monticelli is a contributing writer at Rolling Stone and the Daily Beast, where he specializes in leftist talking points and attacking college students. He's even made an appearance on CNN's New Day.
That's right.
Also, this noted Inspector Gadget impressionist who.
Wow, he said too. That's actually funny. He said this, Inspector Gadget. That's actually very funny.
Plays as Indiana Jones enthusiast had clearly been waiting for Change My Mind to come to UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, for quite some time, and he just couldn't hide his enthusiasm. All right, good. You spell PH or V?
The V.
It's always rough, man, when like this not the right energy to come into a conversation like that. Look at that evil look that Steven Crowder's giving this guy. This energy's bad because it's very bro. It's gonna. This
very nice. Your letters means a cooler name. Last name?
Monticelli. I'll spell it for you.
Okay.
I've seen some clips too.
Monticelli.
So German.
Italian.
Boy, missed all of that one.
Incredible. I hate Italians. That's why they knew that I didn't like this guy. I'm just kidding.
Missed it by that much.
Just a little bit, but both those countries have a certain history for a certain type of politics. But we're not here to talk.
Yeah, they do. They do have a history. Why was that relevant to bring up? Dude, that just felt woke. these countries have a history. All countries have a pretty fucked up history. But okay. Okay, we're just okay.
About that today.
Yeah, no, I know.
It just like felt preachy. Okay.
I don't know how I got that one wrong. It's almost like I wasn't even trying. Oh, look, the sense of humor mobile. It's not stopping here. So,
Well, it wasn't really that funny, but okay.
Steve, how do you prefer?
Steven.
Hey, this is like so cringy between the both of them. Their energy is like super like eggshelly. It's like, or I don't know if it's like walking on eggshells, but the both of them are just like pretending to be not. It's just fucking cringy.
By the way, I like this jacket. Can I?
Thanks. Yeah, go for it.
Is it a raincoat or is it?
See, this is what are you doing?
It's just like a cotton jacket. It's been like, I guess, surplus.
Okay.
Military
The whole
surplus.
outfit works.
So cringe.
So, Steven, I don't know how familiar you are at all with what we do with this kind of installment is, but it's
Probably is.
basically a way where we can hopefully rationalize our positions on controversial topics. A lot of the times, people can have somewhat rational conversations on topics that maybe don't evoke an emotional response, and then it all goes out the window, as you've seen here on college campuses with dancing Yoda and people throwing milkshakes and screaming and all these kinds of things, which we generally like to avoid. Now, spoiler alert, this is about to go sideways very quickly. So today's topic is one, obviously,
Why is he jump cutting so much?
we planned for a while, but now it's in the news because of Leah Thomas. I don't believe that biological males should be allowed to compete with women, biological females in women's sports.
I agree. Oh, okay. I was about to say in general. It's like I think that everything should just be two girls. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a cup.
If you disagree with me, more than happy to hear your case and let you change my mind.
So I guess
Crowder's energy is just like really weird. Like it's just a bizarre, uncomfortable energy around people. I don't know what it.
Today's topic is one, obviously,
What I just click?
we planned for a while, but now it's in the news because of
Okay, I don't
Leah
know.
Thomas.
I don't
Biological females in women's sports. If you disagree with me, more than happy to hear your case and let you change my
See your
mind.
case, brother.
So I guess before we get into it, what is your definition of the term biological female? Is that
Somebody born a woman, I guess.
something that would include people who
Well, we've already started with like just the insane rhetoric. What are you talking about?
are assigned female at birth that were born intersex?
So this is
I don't know. When it comes to intersex people, I don't even care. I'm not trying to be like rude or whatever, but it's like such an outlier that it's irrelevant to the conversation. Is Leah Thomas intersex? No. So then it's really not like I don't think that listen, I'm sure there's a conversation to have there, but I don't think a single trans woman that's been competing has been intersex. So who gives a shit about this outlier?
It's interesting that you bring up this point intersex. You're talking about the 0.01% of the
That's
population.
it's about 1.5, 1.7, because there are surgeries that are done to babies, when they're born,
Yeah.
and then they assign them a gender.
So let me address two different points here.
Sure.
First off, what I'm saying with biological males and females is the overwhelming majority of people, of course, across the globe since the beginning of time, who are born as a male, born as a female. They can go not only by chromosomes, but secondary sex
So, like, if
characteristics.
there's are there
Hold on
100
second.
people here?
Hold on, let me finish. And then I'll address your second point.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
So doctors, for example, fill out male or female. Now we're talking about sex, right? We're not talking about identified gender. I'm assuming that you would agree
So you
that sex
agree
is a
there's a-
biological term and gender is
There's a
social
difference between
I understand that's
the
how
two.
gender theory is presented, certainly in gender studies on college campus.
Sure.
With intersex, it's about 0.01% of the population, and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate
It
statistic.
is an accurate statistic.
It would like what? None of this matters. Like, why is this person doubling down on the intersex shit? Because another thing too is with intersex people. Like, let's say you have an intersex woman. Like, a big part of the argument, from like, at least from me, is that like my biggest concern isn't necessarily what they were born as, though. Like, it is an argument because you see like young boys beat the shit out of like, young girls all the time. Like, they just tend to be stronger, like fucking 4-year-olds even. But in intersex people, you would say they didn't go through a male puberty, right? They were given like whatever blockers or whatever the whole time. And usually, let's say if they're born with testicles, if you're like, I want that baby to be, because I think that's what happens. The kid's born intersex, and then the parents are like, they get a choice of what to do with the kid. You know what I mean? It's it's very flexible. All right, if but anyway, so like you'll remove their testicles, I believe. I think. I'm not 100%. But you know what I'm saying? Like, without that production of testosterone, that's also like a huge factor as well. But again, this is such an outlier argument. Like, who gives a shit? This guy is like really just trying to come from like this point of like just ridiculous area.
You pull up
I
the
don't make
Google
all the references
statistic
available.
right now. It's 1.5%.
1.5% of the population is not intersex.
Well, they're born that
And
way.
even then, a very small percentage of them are improperly assigned with a primary sex at birth.
Yeah, that's true too, because I think that it's like I think a lot of people who are intersex. Thank you so much for the good subs, man, brother. Damn, brother. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people who are born intersex. I think that there's 4 or 5 classifications. I think that there's like male, female, obviously. Then there's like pseudo male intersex, pseudo female intersex, and then there's like intersex. So there's different ranges for intersection or intersex people that like they might have some kind of a characteristic from like a male or female, but are more dominantly one or the other. So, you know.
They have primary sexual characteristics, okay? So primary sexual characteristics, and very few have to end up going with some kind of a sex change operation later in life.
Because it's often done when they're children or when they're babies.
Right, or they're assigned male, female at birth.
So yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Are you talking about people who are assigned?
So we separate that, intersex, okay? So let's say we allow intersex to I'm saying let's say we allow
it's irrelevant
to compete in the division they choose.
How do you prove?
Okay, so this is where this guy's coming from. Apparently, 1.7% of population is born with intersex traits. That doesn't sound like you're intersex, though. It's that doesn't sound like you're saying they're intersex. Intersex is widely misunderstood. Intersex people are massively underrepresented. This week's what is it? What does that mean? What does an intersex trait mean? Like that doesn't sound like particularly like you would be considered somebody intersex, though. Yeah, I feel okay. So this sounds to me like this statistic isn't. They use the word intersex traits so that they can classify more people into the category of intersex to strengthen their argument. So this guy like has obviously fallen victim to just like a dumb statistic. Okay.
How do you even get to that question?
Intersex is when you're born with like both male and female. I think they call it secondary sex characteristics, like a mixture between the two. You know, there's a range between the two.
Are you or are you not? Are you asking then that there has to be a box that people have to tick that they were intersex?
I'm confused by you presenting the argument here because you asked me about intersex.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there are edge cases here that I don't think that your presentation actually encompasses. And
I just
furthermore,
encompassed it.
So if people are allowed, so it's someone who is born with both female and male sex characteristics.
There you go. Now you've got it.
Yeah. And then there are surgeries that are done to them. But someone would have to ask them that.
Yes.
I mean, like, this conversation is just, who cares? It's such an outlier.
So are you proposing that people are asked that?
What I'm saying is if someone is intersex, let's allow that to be an exception.
So
let's say that someone who's intersex can compete
in
any division they want to.
How do we know
They would have to declare if they're intersex.
So you're asking...
And it would be submitted, they would obviously be examined by a doctor, just as the women are in women's sports and men are in men's sports. Just as they have to submit to not only blood sampling for drug tests, hair follicle sampling, often nail scrapings, right? We both know that physicals are conducted in all sports to separate for what? Sex? Right? To separate for weight? To separate for...
Can they move on?
When I was playing sports when I was a kid, no one ever inspected my genitals.
Really?
No.
You never had to turn your head and cough?
Well, that wasn't for doing sports. That's called a physical. That's a medical thing that was separate from being able to do sports.
So, like, listen, I know this is going to be a hot take, and I know some people might be, like, upset about this. Probably not, though. But, you can usually tell if someone's a boy or a girl. I'm just letting you know. So I'm not trying to be rude. But if you have like a fucking 5-year-old running around, you could, or 5, 6, 7, 8, you can usually tell if they're a boy or a girl. So there's not really a need to be like, can I look at your penis? So this conversation is weird. I mean, like, yeah, there's some people who might be like passable or whatever. They might be socially transitioning that young. That's a whole other conversation. But this whole idea, it's just so ridiculous to me. Like, it's just so like, oh, we're gonna ask to pull the pants down. It's like, bro, stop. Like, you're being so like, you're so far removed from reality. Because God forbid you said that. God forbid you said that to a fucking like leftist. Yeah, God forbid you said like, yeah, you can usually tell like if a 10-year-old is a boy or girl. Are you fucking serious? It's like, bro, chill out. Live in the fucking real world, bro. I'm not saying trans people aren't valid. I'm just saying, like, holy fuck, you guys act like my eyes are broken, you dumbass.
Yeah, so you never had to do a full medical?
I mean...
So you must not have played sports at a high level.
They weren't really concerned
everyone has
about
to pass a medical. So you do realize that at Division I sports, you would have to pass a medical.
So the medical would be a description of your genitals? Would that be...
It would include it?
It would include a written description and a verbal description?
Yes.
Really?
You just check a box that says you're male or female, yeah.
Really? Medical examination, yeah, would include the description of your vitals, of your health parameters.
So I guess now that we've gone through that,
But we haven't gone through that.
What is the reason that you're...
We haven't gone through that.
So if you're less concerned about intersex people, then why are you so concerned about transgender people?
Because trans women have biological advantage, especially ones that go through a male puberty, or specifically.
Again, I was answering your question. You asked about intersex.
Well, they both get surgery. Sometimes they both need hormone treatment.
It doesn't erase their advantages.
What's your position against? If you're okay with one, why are you not okay with the other?
Well, here's exactly why. First off, you're taking an extreme example to make a point and misrepresenting those statistics. It's not 1.5% of the population.
All right, I'll just Google it.
It's
fine.
Sure.
You won't find a single position in the country.
I'm gonna Google it.
According to experts, 1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits.
Pause a second. Let's
see, that's the one that I looked up too.
his Googling technique.
I'll just Google it. It's fine.
You won't find a single position in the country.
According to experts,
A two-click Google search. It's almost as if he had the whole thing planned out. Poorly.
1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits.
That's from amnesty.org.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can just like keep. I can go to.
It's from amnesty.org.
I mean, it's from. There's Wikipedia. There's plenty
Yes,
of.
Amnesty and Wikipedia. Okay.
Here's a PubMed, NCBI,
I wonder what Wikipedia says. Again, intersex traits is not the same thing as being like intersex. The number of births with ambiguous genitals is in the range of 0.02% and 0.05%. So that's what Wikipedia says. This fucking guy. Okay. Let's see. They say something about 1.7%. Some persons may be assigned and raised as a girl or boy, but identify with another gender late in life, while most continue to identify with their assigned sex. The number of births where the baby is intersex and has been reported differently depending on who reports and which definition of intersex is used. Annie Fatso Sterling and her co-authors suggested that the prevalence of non-dimorphic sexual development might be as high as 1.7%. Okay, yeah, so they're basically, this is based on like intersex traits, you know, and that doesn't mean you're intersex. But.
And like this is a medical journal, so I mean, like,
Hold on a second. Let me you know what? Okay, you know what? Just hold it up for me.
Either way, it doesn't even matter. So, because it's still a pretty low number.
Hold it up for me.
Wants to do this.
Because you just brought up PubMed and it didn't reflect what you just reflected.
So abstract.
0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they are.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Sex.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Inconsistent.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Sex. Yeah. So let's see.
Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having.
Pause. Now, if you notice the shift, and I mean increase in my enthusiasm, it's because I was intensely familiar with the PubMed paper he was attempting to cite. And by cite, I mean blatantly misrepresent. And by blatantly misrepresent, I mean lie about. And this is the real value of change my mind in the conversation.
I really would like not. I don't really want to see his like. It's like his commentary on the conversation.
Conversations being included in their full context, unedited. It's one thing to be able to lie about numbers to unsuspecting students in order to score political points. It's another to face accountability in real time. So let's rewind.
But I guess all of us wish we could go back in a conversation, be like, I remember this point. I wish I brought it up, and that's just.
And zoom in and enhance on his screen. Unfortunately, the tech isn't good enough to get a crystal clear picture, but here's the actual PubMed article abstract. If the term intersex is to retain any meaning, the term should be restricted to those conditions in which chromosomal sex is inconsistent with phenotypic sex, or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about 0.018%, almost 100 times lower than the Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7. Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having. Yeah, you can.
No wonder the social justice warrior / handler of Curious George shoved his phone back in his pocket faster than a crack pipe at the bordello of Biden.
Yeah, you can Google.
But you didn't present it as a debate.
You can get different.
Hold on a second. Let me finish here because you just brought up amnesty.org and Wikipedia.
Sure.
The only legitimate medical publication that you brought up said exactly what I said. What number did I give you?
So then let's like put it.
I think you gave him a little higher than.
In numbers. If there are 100 people here or 1,000 people here, if there are 100 people here or there are 1,000 people here, there's still going to be at least one person.
Look, if you're not
still going to be at least
if
one
truth
person.
doesn't matter
Who cares? What does this matter?
to you, this isn't going to be a productive
I'm
conversation.
actually giving the numbers.
What number did I give to you?
So you gave me 0.1%?
0.01%.
0.0%.
What is that number from PubMed?
Okay.
Let's see. It says point.
Well, it says basically 0.02% if you round up. Whatever.
0.08, which would be
0.018%.
0.018%.
Yeah, that's the number I gave you.
So let's see what PubMed just said.
That is PubMed. You just showed the PubMed.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull
Now
it.
you're going back to
Embarrassing.
amnesty.org, you're going to Wikipedia. So my point is, look, you sit here and you spout numbers that are inaccurate. When you go to one legitimate medical journal, it says that it's actually 1,000 times lower. So do we want to have a conversation about the topic at hand, or do you want to keep embarrassing yourself with wrong numbers?
So if you're going to accept that there are people in this world, no matter how rare that you think that they are, that you're going to allow to participate in sports.
No matter how rare your own sources say they are.
No matter how rare that there are in existence, it doesn't matter what you think or what I think they exist.
The numbers are the numbers.
Do you
cares?
believe that they exist?
Of course I believe it.
So-
0.018% according to
So there are
PubMed.
people. So there are people in this state, in this city,
Yes.
who would fit that categorization. And just because there are a small number of them, you're going to just kind of
And
disregard
what
the
number of
example.
them require some kind of sex change? What number of them require
Why is that so
hormonal
threatening to you?
sex? It's not threatening to me.
It seems like it is.
Well, what's bothering to me is your dishonesty.
So I'll
this is a red
grant your
herring.
number. I'll grant your number, and my
Right.
argument is still the same.
So what's the number of people there who are not accurately defined at birth by their primary and secondary sexual characteristics?
So once again,
it's about
why is this-
0.2% of
This is so who fucking cares? Are they going to talk about trans women in sports at all?
0.8% of the population.
And so because
Now, that's
and
not-
what's the
so the point
percentage
is
of
that's
people
a
that are
very
competing
small-
in sports that are transgender? What's that number of the population? What's that
the
percentage?
number of transgender people.
Percentage of the total
is about
population,
1%.
yeah, that are
now, as far
competing
as
in sports.
as far as the categories that they enter, they end up winning about 66%, for example, in track, upwards of 90% in strength sports like powerlifting and Olympic lifting. That's significant.
I wonder where we got those sources from. I mean, I wouldn't doubt them. I'm just curious to look at them. I wonder if he has. A
So even though they make up 1% of the population when they enter into female sports, they overwhelmingly tend to dominate, and this is a very small sample size. So my question to you is, what do we do? Because you're supposed to sit here and
Are
see-
we going to start talking about genetics as it relates to people winning sports? Is that what?
No, who cares? I mean, like we as a society, we can socially construct leagues of things, right? And we've decided that the simplest one is who's the best person at a thing, right? That's what sports is about. Then women were like, we literally cannot compete at all. Can you please make a protected class for women? And so we did that so that women can compete. And now we're having conversations about validating trans people, which is a good thing. We should be validating trans people. But then that brings out like a bit of a nuanced conversation about sports because they maintain a significant biological advantage. So it's like, okay, we have to make this woman category like sex woman. That's it. Very simple. Oh, well, what about other biological advantages? Yes, those are encouraged between men and women. It's like incredible. Like you really don't see short people like, bro, why can't I? Nobody get like people just understand. It's like, hey, it's just about the best of like a particular thing. We want like the best person or the best male or best female at a particular thing. That's all it is. It's like Jesus Christ.
What you want to do? Is that what you're at?
Male
Is
and
that what
female
you're
sports
asking?
are separated by biology, yes?
I mean, what's the point of sports?
To win.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
I can't believe Vin Diesel made an appearance.
Why is that funny?
It just tells me a lot about who you are.
The point is
Is this guy serious? What the fuck? Wait, is he? Bro, are you serious? What do you think the fucking point of sports is? Is to fucking win. What do you think it is? Like fucking grab other people? Just fucking go, oh, I like playing football. I like to touch the other men. What do you think? You just go to a gay bar if you want to do that. What the fuck do you think the point of sports is?
sports is not to win?
I think a lot of people think there's more than one point to sports.
No, it's to win.
I mean, so much of sports is like people getting sweaty and like rubbing around with each other.
What's the
That is part of it. But okay.
point to winning an Olympic medal?
I don't know. I mean, why do we have the Olympics?
To see who the best person. Okay.
To identify who the best is at sport.
What is the historical reason why we have the Olympics?
Do you mean you want to go back to pancration?
I don't know. Fucking. Who cares?
I mean, do we want to talk about like the modern
You wanna go back
reinvention
to-
of it?
Okay, so
Fascist politics, all that kind of stuff.
so you believe that people are competing, for example, in swimming, decathlon, biathlon, because
No,
of
I
fascist
think
politics?
I think that the overarching mindset that sports is about, declaring dominance, and that there's some sort of actual value in like this idea of international representation of dominance in sports. When did you ever have fun in your life?
How did we get to an anti-capitalist perspective? The Olympics are rooted in racism. Probably. True. Probably. Listen, shut the fuck up. It's just so annoying. Bro, people play sports to win. Of course, part of the fun, okay, of playing a sport is to like be able to win. Some people, I'm sure, enjoy playing sports just to play. And you know what? Those people are called losers because they never win. So they just learn to have fun moving around. Okay? You might as well go do a fucking Pilates class because that's basically what it is to play a sport without wanting to win. Okay? Sports are competitive. People like to win. It's really that simple. That's why most people do things. Most people play video games for that reason. Now, there are people who enjoy the single player fun experience, and that's cool. But nobody gives a shit about that unless they do speed running because it's a competitive experience. It's only interesting if people enjoy, like if there's like a winning factor. That's why people like to watch stuff. Like, oh, are they going to do this? Are they going to beat that? That's what makes it so entertaining. Unless they're just making an ass of themselves, like I show speed. That is entertaining. I mean, Jesus Christ. What this is like we've gone through like an incredible like thought fucking explosion here just to get to this point.
Like, you ever have fun playing sports?
I didn't say it's about representing international dominance.
No, but I'm saying is like you said it's all about winning. So
I said, what is the point of sports? What is the point of sports?
I think sports is a lot about having fun and, you know, making relationships with people and
Do you think
camaraderie.
it's fun to make
Oh, camaraderie. Gay.
Olympic medaling platform? Think that's fun?
Go on, think. Is it fun? No, sir. No, sir. Absolutely not? Zero fun, sir. All right.
I mean, it must provide a sense of accomplishment,
Why?
a sense of joy, because they worked hard to get there.
And the joy to accomplish.
And that's like it feels good to put a lot of work into something and then win. It feels bad to put a lot of work into something and then get displaced by somebody who didn't have to work as hard as you.
Comes from what?
Working hard to get there, I guess.
Wouldn't you?
I bet this guy's favorite game is like Pokemon Go, you know, where he just has to walk around and get free Pokemon instead of actually having to play a game, you know?
Going to great lengths to avoid the term of winning a medal.
I mean, hey, if you get second place and you're a spoiled brat about it, I think a lot of people would think you're kind of lame.
What? I mean, second place out of what? Dude, what is that argument? Yeah, if you only get second place out of 1,000, like, and you're upset about it, blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. It's still an accomplishment, but like, yeah, some people are like, yeah, I'd like to be first, like, of course, but I don't understand. Oh, you know what? He might be making like this. Okay, wait, hold on a second. I know why he's saying this. This disingenuous fuck.
Avoid the term of winning a medal.
I mean, hey, if you get second place and you're a spoiled brat about it, I think a lot of people would think you're kind of lame.
Dude, he's taking a shit on people who lost to Leah Thomas. That's exactly what he's doing. I guarantee that's what he's doing. I fucking guarantee it. What he's saying is like, yeah, if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby. What he's saying is he's taking a shot at those girls who lost to Leah Thomas because they got in second place. They should just be happy to come in second. Bro, what a fucking weirdo. Holy shit.
Do you think that the Olympic silver medalist who took second place to Leah Thomas, who wouldn't be ranked top 500 in the male division, is being a spoiled brat?
Well, what is your solution? Would you want to create an entirely separate category for transgender people in sports?
If you want
Maybe, sure. I'm probably not going to get enough people to do that, but sure.
to, we can. Otherwise,
No, that's not what I want to. I'm asking what you want.
Yeah, I think biological males should compete with biological males.
No,
Well, I don't think that's true because like the reality is a trans woman's going to get decimated by a cis male. But, you know, maybe create like a trans woman, trans male class. It's probably not going to happen. It seems a bit complicated, you know, but, you know.
I'm asking specifically about transgender and intersex people now. Where do you think they should compete in
well,
sports?
let's separate transgender and intersex because intersex people don't want to be lumped in with transgenders.
I mean, who are you to speak for them? Are you
I'm
intersex?
not letting them
Are you
speak.
telling
Who are you to speak for them? What?
me something about yourself?
I'm letting them speak for them, but I'm sure you'll find statistics that will prove you wrong and bolster what I'm discussing right now. Intersex
sure.
people don't want to be lumped in with transgender individuals because there is a biological issue. There's not a biological issue with transgender individuals. It is a societal issue. It's a
I mean, there might be a biological issue. There might be something in the brain based on like either like a biological or like a genetic aspect, like a womb aspect, or an environmental aspect, or a mixture between all three that makes somebody transgender. We don't know, but I understand what he's saying.
Is it a biological issue that you would never make a basketball team because you can't jump?
Yeah, I guess.
that I can't jump?
Yeah.
Why are you making that presumption?
I'm just kind of following this logic to where
Are
it
you
might
racist?
conclude. No, I'm asking, are you?
You're asking, am I racist?
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you're so obsessed with certain types of people winning certain types of categories as if there's some sort of
Males and
biological...
females? Yeah.
So you're an
You lift the figment
essentialist.
of my imagination?
You're an essentialist.
Oh, well, let's throw that to around. What do you mean that I'm an essentialist, that I believe biological males should compete against biological males?
Well, I mean,
How does he become racist? Is he trying to make the assertion like because a lot of black people play basketball? I don't understand what the fuck his point is. I don't see like any white people complaining about like I guess a disproportionate amount of black people in basketball or football or whatever sport they may be in. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit.
you just talk about biological males and females so much that it essentializes gender into a binary that doesn't include all these people that we've just been talking about, and sex into a binary.
And sex.
Yeah.
You said gender.
And sex, yeah.
I didn't mention gender, I mentioned sex.
Well, I'm talking about both. Yeah, I would
I'm
say.
not.
Well, then let's just focus on sex. You are creating an essentialist
Biological
binary.
males Yeah. Okay, so if you are saying that it is not binary, sex, then you are suggesting there should be a third division.
Not necessarily.
What's your solution?
I guess so.
I'm saying we should maybe stop taking sports so damn seriously and let people compete and create structures for competing that...
What? That's his whole argument. We haven't even talked about if you know what I wish we would have gotten to is it's just been 17 and a half minutes of bullshit. He should have asked, do you think that trans women have a biological advantage? That would be, and like we haven't even touched on that. But I'm assuming this guy knows that because he's like, yeah, sports is just for fun. Let trans women do. Absolutely. It's not fun when you cannot win. Like, that's the whole thing. So there's a lot of women who are like, I really would like to win. So I'm going to compete. Let me acknowledge these subs. Thank you so much for the gift subs, brother. Let me put these up here. I had to pause it until after the thing.
S'mores just gifted one sub.
Thank you so much for the sub, brother. Then we got Femboy Sark.
S'mores gifted Look at Tiny a subscription.
Incredible.
S'mores gifted a tier 1 sub to Look at
Thank
Tiny.
you so much for the sub,
They
brother.
have given 11 gift subs in
Damn.
the channel.
Thank you, my man. Or
Aren't so damn politicized. How about that?
How about new?
Okay, great. So women should just shut up and take it. They're
don't think
taking it
that's-
too seriously.
Yeah.
Women are taking it
I
too
don't think
seriously.
that's what I think you're taking it too seriously.
No, I'm saying women out there are taking it too seriously.
Talk to a woman. There's plenty of women here. Talk to a woman.
Yeah, I have. I've spoken with many
What
women.
did she say?
There's also
What
been
did they
critical
say?
data.
I mean, like, what do the women that are competing say? Wouldn't those be the best representation? And like, a lot of them are either quiet because they don't want to be fucking destroyed. They don't want to be like canceled, or they're vocal and saying this is bullshit. Any competitive woman is saying that.
Of course, don't want biological males to compete in women's sports.
All right, so I'm going to give up my seat now. Is there a woman who would like to speak to him?
What a virtuous person! Holy fuck! Everybody, please just take it. Thank you so much. This guy obviously loves women so much that he's going to give up his seat. He's literally decimating Steven Crowder intellectually, and now he's offering to give up his seat so that a woman could sit down and educate Steven Crowder, a woman that doesn't compete in any sport, and sit down and educate Steven Crowder about how they don't care because it's not an issue that they identify with. Because that's really what it boils down to. They don't care because they don't have to identify with the issue. That's all it is. That's historically where bigotry comes from. Oh, we don't care because it's an issue that doesn't bother me. So brave.
Pause. It's funny he should ask, because we just so happen to have talked to a female athlete, one of Leah Thomas's teammates. Peers, if you will, at UPenn, to be exact, and here's what she had to say. That guy, Monticelli, seems to be uneducated. I would say that the way the rules are set up right now straight up deny women from equal educational opportunities in sport and discriminate against women by not recognizing the physical differences between men and women. And women shouldn't be forced to take a back seat in their own sport.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like now, like, bro, this guy here is just making Steven Crowder look so good. And Steven Crowder is like, I don't like a lot of his shit. Like that whole fucking George Floyd skit bothered the fuck out of me. Shit like that. It's like really shitty. But when you leave nobody else, like nobody has an option to be like, dude, I think this is shitty. There's really not a big space for like moderate perspective, I guess. I don't know. It's just pushing people to Crowder. Like you're the reason why people are going more conservative. It's because of fucking dumb fucks like this guy, Inspector Gadget.
Any women?
Female athlete.
It just makes people like Crowder more. Seems like a nice guy. I don't. You know what I mean? It just makes people like him more. You shouldn't be setting up these scenarios where it's easy to dunk on Crowder, or it's easy for people to be like, yeah, you know, Crowder's right. I agree. You know.
All right, cool. Hey, it's been nice, Steve.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. At least Republicans are starting to care about women's issues like sports. There you go. He's leaving.
So no solution, no dog in the fight, just wrong sources. Every other conversation's been very productive.
I'd say, have fun making it your career to go talk to college students who don't want to talk to you.
Don't be an asshole
Well, I mean, they're all trying to talk to him, but
your whole life.
Now, given what's transpired, one might think
transpired. Get it?
that Mr. Monticelli would take the L and never speak of this embarrassing.
Oh man, he's going to this girl so he can vent his frustrations. This is just so weird because this is all it is. It's a bunch of people that usually like dislike Steven Crowder, and then it doesn't matter if you lose, you walk away and you're like, you know what I was saying, right? Just like, yeah, I'm also a fucking moron. You know what I mean? And so now you feel good.
Performance again.
What George Floyd thing did he do? He like reenacted George Floyd's like fucking like the kneeling on the neck thing. It was fucking ridiculous.
But that's not what insane people do. Instead, he took to Twitter to declare victory and attempt to
Apparently, we debated for 15 minutes. Here is the entire debate uncut in the event. Crowder doesn't use the entire thing. Still thinking about how the guy who said he wanted to rationally debate without emotional respondent called me an asshole at the end. Okay.
It's our car. It looks like someone might be getting a little obsessed.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
This is the kind of delusional behavior which can only be exhibited by people who've evaded accountability or being beholden to any form of truth throughout their entire lives. That's long form for professional journalist.
So, I mean, he pulled out some statistics.
But what kind of behavior would you expect from someone who was fired for reporting fake news
Did he really?
and is currently facing a defamation lawsuit? Now, granted, Mr. Monticelli is innocent until proven guilty, but he's also been accused of, and admitted to, making inappropriate sexual remarks to random women.
Shit. That's true.
But hey, we all make repeatedly the same mistakes, right?
We all do.
I don't know, am I just being too harsh? Comment below and let Mr. Monticelli know what you think of his time in the spot. Check that out if you aren't already.
All right. Fantastic. That's interesting. It's something. Let me scroll up. There's a comment in here. I don't want to derail this insightful segment, but it's what's your deadlift. Wanted to thank you for your content. I watch you constantly while studying, And now your segments infiltrate my dreams. Wow, that's very very romantic. I quit my advertising job to study data science, and I'm paying bills with my own business. Fantastic. So my best farmer's market ever with $1,000 in sales and celebrating with some Mexican food. Mucho gracias, Gordo Calvo. Is that Papa God? Fantastic. Very good. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.